both of those funds need to be maintained at about $25,000. Those were the starting amounts, and we're supposed to refrain from taking anything more than the interest that we've accrued. So that means that of those two accounts, only about $4,000 is actually liquid and something that we can use. So we don't really have great news, but I'm hoping that since we have a timeline of about a year, maybe we can come up with some solutions. We've cut back about as far as we possibly can. We can save a little bit with water and electricity, but that's just going to be negligible as far as the savings go. We have 2 employees, but they are mission critical. Without either one of them, I don't see that we could continue on. So we can't cut back on personnel either. So if there are any other questions, I can answer those questions later on. Just to keep it short, and I've already gone over my line a couple times.
Okay, at this time Chuck is going to go over the vote.
At our meeting, our congregational meeting in January, we did what we call the pathway forward vote. If you remember, a yes vote at that time meant we would merge in some fashion. And a no vote, and this is what was on the ballot, said a no vote by either congregation would mean continuing as we are with an interim pastor for the short term. The long-term outcome would likely be the holy closure of one or both congregations. So that's where we are right now.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is go through a little bit of demographics, the change in each congregation over the last number of years. You want to go first? Okay. So at Christ the Good Shepherd in 2017, between 2017 to now, those attending worship, actively participating, has decreased by 75%. Just let that sink in for a minute. Our giving over the same period of time is less than half. Expenses are going up, and that's where we are right now, as far as our demographics and our numbers go. So we were at 90 people plus coming to church each week. Now from Christ the Good Shepherd, our average is 25.
Again, not much of a different story here at Holy Cross. We did have 82 people attending service back in 2016, 2017. We're down to, on average, 35 people on a given Sunday. That's a decrease of close to 51% from 2019. The good news is our revenues have actually only decreased 35% in that same time frame. So our giving has gone up on a per person basis, but we have lost the number of people who are actually sitting in the pews. Another good news, if you want to look at it that way, is our total disbursements actually have not gone up, only about 2% since that time, primarily because all of the wages and costs and utilities have gone up, but we've cut virtually every other program of our church. Now, we did have help in that for 2.5 years, this building was mostly mothballed and closed during COVID. But since we've come out, expenses continue to rise, and we are up probably about, there it is, 23% in expenses that we've been up since we've came out of COVID and started reoperating the building. And again, our revenues are down 31% from where they were pre-COVID. So you can see the picture there of, eventually, as Lorraine mentioned, Holy Cross is going to run out of money. Everyone can throw a dartboard at, is that going to happen in 2026, 2027, or maybe beyond if some large sum of money came into the church. But those are all things to think about as we move and transition to the options we have before us.
He's substantially less high impaired. Okay, so this is what council has been wrestling with for joint council and for our individual councils. These are the things we've been wrestling with. And we also went through coming up with some possibilities. Where can we go from here? So let's go through the possibilities. So as we were discussing, the first possibility we came up with was holy closure. And holy closure means that the church is closed. We could choose to close and go together to some other church. We could choose to close and people go their own ways, whether some of us end up at the same church or not. Okay, holy closure is an option. Another possibility that came up was, since we decided that these two congregations will not merge, maybe we merge with a different congregation. Another possibility that was stated was, we keep going as long as we can, as long as possible. You just heard about how long that might be. And the next possibility that came up was to nest. That's where we remain as a congregation, but we nest in another facility. We kind of fly away from our own churches, maybe sell properties, but we remain as congregations within another church. Another possibility is a house church, where we meet at somebody's home and worship together there. A breakfast church, where we choose a spot, descend upon it, have breakfast together, and worship there together. A virtual church, where we worship together online, via Zoom or some other format. Another possibility that came up is that together we make a mission start, where we're trying to draw people in from neighborhoods around us. Another possibility that came up is we rent space. So we remain as a congregation, but we go out and rent the space, whether it's a closed office building, grocery store, a portion of another church, something like that. Those are the possibilities that council was able to come up with. Do any of you have any other ideas?
I think you did a very good job of going through this process.
And you know, I guess at the point where we are, it's easy to feel despair and to feel hopelessness. What we need to remember is that God is with us, and He is moving through us in this group. And as our individual congregations come to terms with where we are and what we are going to do from here, we know that whatever we do, God will be with us through that. And God will be guiding our steps and guiding our decisions. because that's the promise God made to us. And we are God's people, and we lay hold to that promise, and we believe it, and we will act on it. We are not alone, we are with God. And now we're going to get our coffee, and then one congregation is going to be staying in the gym, that's where the coffee and cookies are, and one will be coming back here and sitting towards the front so we can be closer together in our conversation. So,
I think we decided that Holy Cross would be back.
okay, so Holy Cross gets to stay in the gym close to the coffee and cookies. Christ Shepherd, you're going to get your coffee and cookies and come on back here and just don't fill your cups too full because we don't want spills in here. Okay? So, you're going down the hall that way for coffee and cookies. You're not going out that door.